A Civil War story through the eyes of an Oxford soldier. When the Civil War, or the War between the States as it was also called, broke out, every able-bodied man, no matter what his age, felt it his duty to join the forces and, if necessary, fight to defend the causes. This was true not only here in the northern states, but also true of the people in the South, although their views on the causes of this great rebellion were somewhat different. Oxford sent over 100 men, young and old, into the service. Some lost their lives on the battlefield or in sick bay as a result of fighting for their country and their beliefs. Others returned home, some wounded, with many stories to tell and memories of sights never to be told. The Oxford Historical Society is extremely grateful for the cooperation of the Seymour Historical Society. The Seymour Society has in their military paper collection a compilation of letters written in the 1860s by Oxford resident Albert A. Kimberly. These letters, written to his wife, span the time from the day he left New Haven Harbor to the days he served his country, 1860 to 1863. Some of the letters were written on formal military stationery, some on scraps of paper. Some are written with pen and ink, while others were scribbled quickly with a pencil. The following information is from an article written by Elise Coomer. As one reads these 26 fragile letters, it becomes apparent that although Mr. Kimberly knows it was his patriotic duty to enlist and defend his country, he is also very concerned about leaving his wife and mother with a farm and all its responsibilities. From reading all the letters, we can understand that at times he is bored. He is fearful of not knowing where he is going to be sent next, or we see him scared because of the battle which is unfolding before his eyes. At times we see he becomes depressed and just wants to come home to the family and friends he loves and misses very much, and that he is very anxious to receive letters from home. He knows that he has written to his wife almost every day, but the mail she sends to him has not gotten through. He is nervous that all is not well on the farm, that his wife is not in good health, or even that his bounty, his pay, of $50 for enlisting and his $10 a month pay has not arrived in Oxford. The following paragraphs are a few excerpts from his letters that will give you an idea of what he saw and what he was feeling. Each letter is dated and begins, "Dear Wife," and always ends, "Yours truly, your husband, Albert A. Kimberly." These excerpts are typed just as he wrote them, spelling and all. March 17, 1862, Kimberly has left New Haven Harbor aboard a military ship and heads to New York Harbor where the ship will pick up freight. He writes on the 23rd, "We sailed out of sight of land." On the 27th, "It is windy and stormy, a great many awfully sick. One died this morning." On April 3rd, "This morning we came in sight of land, Jacob's Light, a small island. The weather is fine. We expect to be in Key West tomorrow morning and get water. Then it is 450 miles from these to Ship Island." April 6th. "I have not been seasick. Many have died aboard ship and were given watery graves. I want you send me tobacco and my 2 checkered shirts and that 2 quarts of cider brandy. Get someone to pack these so it will go safe. Also, put in my shoe brush and hairbrush, some paper, and envelopes. Much is needed and the boys get little from Connecticut. News here is 6 weeks old. You probably know more of what is happening. We hear that Banks' division was all cut to pieces, the 5th Connecticut Volunteer all killed and taken prisoners, some in ball and chain, some hard labor at Fort Jackson, others whipped, others hung." New Orleans, June 1st, 1862. "Glad to hear from you and the folks in Birmingham. The box was thankfully received by me and the rest of the boys. The tea was splendid. It is worth $5 a pound here. Flour $25 a barrel, but it don't make any difference with us. It is a hard place here for poor folks to live in the present time, but as for me, I am tough and hearty as yet, thank God, most of the regiment well. I had a good meal a few minutes ago of a small piece of beef and a piece of cheese, a hard cracker, and 2 pickles. I though of home and my kind friends in Connecticut." New Orleans, June 20th, 1862. "We are still guarding the custom house in the city. It is so warm here that I don't think I could march 10 miles in a day, and it is so warm nights that I can't sleep, so I stand guard for a couple of hours and then fight mosquitoes the rest of the time." New Orleans, August 19th, 1862. "I now sit down to write you a few lines to let you know I am well, and I received my box the 14th. The cheese and dried beef was good, and the tumblers of preserved and bottles of pickles had leaked out, and it run all in my tobacco and spoiled it all. We are under marching orders now, but when or where I don't know. Write soon. Custom House, New Orleans, September 29, 1862. I sit to let you know that I am well and that this 13th Regiment will leave New Orleans tomorrow for Camp Lewis up the river. Do not send any box until you hear from me. I think we will keep moving up the river this winter, but we don't know nor cannot find out anything about it. I will write again when we are settled in camp. Camp Kearns, October 21, 1862. I received your box. All things spoiled. Cheese, tobacco, butter had leaked over everything. We are leaving here tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and where we are going I do not know, do I care. I have worked all day to lose our things, for we cannot carry half. I don't want to carry any more than I am obliged to, and I have to heave everything but tobacco, and when this is gone, you need not send me any more, for I am tired of chewing. When we get to our stand, I will write you if I live through it. Baton Rouge, January 7, 1863. We left Camp Stevens the 29th of December and marched 36 miles and went on board the Laurel Hill and sailed up here in 48 hours, 91 miles in all. There is about 30,000 troops here, they say. We don't get any news here at all but that there is 20,000 rebels, 10 miles above here at Port Hudson. Our pickets see them night before last. I think we shall have a battle before a great while. Write soon. Send no boxes. I don't know where I shall be. Tell Mother what a good cheese that was and what a good thing another would be. Don't forget to write and tell others, for I like to hear from you all, as I cannot be with you to take that vacant chair at the table, but when you have anything good, you can set it and think of me. My Christmas and New Year's supper was salted beef and pork, good enough for soldiers, good as I want, but there is no place like home. Baton Rouge, January 14, 1863. Get Charles Hawkins to make me a pair of boots, the best he ever made, and send as soon as possible. He knows what kind of boots I want. Be lively about this. Save all the money you can, as it is very scarce here. We are expecting a battle here every day, but I don't know as they dare to come here again. If this war is not finished by the 1st of May, I shall have no more faith in the war or the leaders. Baton Rouge, January 21, 1863. I have not heard from you yet, but I keep thinking every mail that I shall, so I keep thinking of home and my friends. I have made up my mind to write every chance I get. Please send box with cheese, cider brandy. Have Charles Hawkins to make another pair of boots and send quickly. Also, send me a pair of socks or two. Baton Rouge, January 27, 1863. I received a letter from Mary Smith and your picture was in it. I was very glad to see it, but I had rather be at home and see the original. Everything is quiet here now, but we are expecting every hour to be attacked by the rebels. That box I am in a great hurrah for. This muddy time, them boots I think should much of. They would cost $8 a pair here, and not very good at that. Baton Rouge, February 28, 1863. I never felt better in my life than I do now. My weight is 187 pounds in November. I only weighed 165, so you see I am getting fat, but I feel perfectly genteel. It is now 10 o'clock and it is raining very hard and very heavy thunder. All is calm, but we must be about ready to attack Port Hudson. Now there are 6 or 7 mortar boats, and I don't know how many more gunboats. The river is full of boats. The Mississippi is full of thousands of rebel deserters. I fear my box, that I have not yet received, was sunk on the steamer Ella Warley. Please let me know how much money was in that box you sent. Baton Rouge, March 8, 1863. Received the box on the 5th and was glad. Tell Mary, Mother, and Miss Hawkins they sent just what I wanted, and tell Mr. Hawkins the boots could not suit me better. If they weren't needed, I could sell mine for $10, but I cannot spare them with 2 months of rain. They are bringing all the troops up from below, for every transport in the river is busy today and will be until the troops are all here. They are going to leave only a few regiments below here, just enough to hold the places they have taken. I think if they have good luck up at Port Hudson, which I think they must, for they have plenty of batteries and pieces, over 200 all the way from 10 to 60 pounders. Plenty of cavalry if they take Port Hudson. Then the river will be open and the rebels will be glad to let us alone, I hope. It is getting pretty warm here. The mosquitoes are very troublesome here. I was on picket last night over in the woods and thought they would carry me off in spite of all I could do. They will bite through 2 blankets, 1 pair of heavy pants and drawers. They are very large. Their legs are 2 inches long. My love to all. Tell everyone to send a few lines. Baton Rouge, March 9, 1863. Don't know when I shall ride again, as we are packing up today and are to move in the morning. There is nothing but soldiers for miles along the river today. It is a very busy time. Am going with doctor to take care of the sick and wounded starting tomorrow. Camp Grover, March 22, 1863. I now sit down to write you to let you know that I am alive. Yet we left here on the 13th and marched up 8 miles. The 14th we marched up in the river of Port Hudson, some 3 or 4 miles from it, and formed in line of battle about noon. About 5 o'clock our regiment moved down toward the rebels. At 11:30 the fun began. We were right in the woods and could not see anything but the flash of the large guns. The 91 New York drove in and the rebel pickets. They then formed in line of battle. Then 2 pieces of Nim's battery come rattling down and give them 48 shells, which caused them to grunt. I suppose they did not even stay to answer our battery. No, not once. All was still then in the rear, but the mortar boats in front of the fort kept up shelling the fort until the Mississippi got aground right in front of the rebel batteries. They fired her and deserted her. She burned down until she lighted enough to float off. She drifted down 3 or 4 miles when her magazine got fire and she blowed up in 10,000 pieces. It was heard in New Orleans some 80 miles straight line. It made things snap around, but this Diggins you better believe. Then he had orders to march back 7 miles in the morning 15th. It never rained harder that night. We camped in a swamp, mud and water from 4 to 12 inches deep. On the 12th, we moved about 11 miles down on the bank of the river and stayed till the 20th. Then we marched back, and here we be, not in tents again. How long we shall stay here, I don't know. The flagship Hartford and 1 or 2 more of the gunboats went up past the fort, so they will cut off the rebel supplies from Red River, and we cut off the railroad. I am well, except for a cold I got on the march. We have marching orders now and must be ready in 10 minutes, but yet we have not to go for 2 days. In the rear of Port Hudson, June 28, 1863. It is some time since I wrote you. I have been on a long march and left my things all behind. I have been lying on the ground since 24 of May, and Port Hudson is not taken yet, but we have a storming party here now that say they are going in before the 4th of July. Colonel Burge is in command. But all that tract of 55 acres if you can, you ought buy it for $10 an acre. $550, if not $600, is enough. If not, wait. Port Hudson, July 9, 1863. I now sit down to let you know that Port Hudson is ours. It surrendered yesterday. We have thousands of prisoners. Today we are sending them down to New Orleans. The general is now with a brigade to wipe away a rebel force that is firing on our boats as they pass on the river. Now that Port Hudson surrendered, that will leave a large army to scour the country, and the river must be pretty clear from rebels by the 1st of September. I should think when they lost this river, they lost the heart of the Southern Confederacy. They must get whipped every time now, because there are so many troops in front and rear and cut off their retreat and their reinforcements and bother them, so they will be glad to give up. Port Hudson, July 13, 1863. Had a fight today with considerable loss. 14th, all very quiet. 15th, all now in order. Division gone around to attack the rebels in the rear, and then the fun is over. Camp Kearney, August 25, 1863. How would the citizens of Oxford like my job? Port Hudson, 47 days, lying on the ground, 5 months, no tents, makes me tough. The Vicksburg troops have all moved down here. I suppose they are going to make an attack on Mobile, but I don't know. Have seen the doctor about getting a furlough. He said unless I am very sick or lose a leg, there would be none. I told him I'd rather stay here than lose a leg. So you need not look for me this year. Just send shirts, pants, socks, cotton or wool, and tobacco. Thibadeaux, October 14, 1863. Still have not received the items asked for. I am want of my things very much now. I have been sick and have had to buy all that I could eat. Butter, 50 cents a pound. Eggs, 50 cents a dozen. Cheese, 40 cents a pound. Milk, 10 cents a quart. I weighed this morning 165 pounds. The last letter was dated February 7, 1864, and signed by the captain of Kimberly's regiment, stating that Kimberly had died on December 1, 1863, and the cost to his wife of sending the body home would probably be about $100. Miss Kimberly later married Gordon Crowfoot, who served as an Oxford selectman in 1896. Miss Crowfoot owned the farm on Christian Street, which she sold to Philip Rowland in 1903. That house has since been moved to Towner Lane. It is now the home of the Oxford Historical Society History Center and Museum, known as the Twitchell Rowland Homestead. Photographic copies of all letters are being preserved by the Oxford Historical Society. Ashley Sanders, a recent Oxford High School graduate, transcribed each of the letters. The transcriptions are on display today.